Hook line. Most traders don't lose money because they're wrong. They lose money because they're right, and they can't stand it. Let me explain. There's a moment, and if you've traded long enough, you've felt it, when your position finally turns green. The market moves in your favor. The breakout holds. The volume confirms. The thesis is working. And instead of confidence, you feel fear. Not fear of losing. Fear of giving it back. Southwest, you close it. Too early. And then you watch, almost painfully, as price continues without you. Tell me something honestly. Have you ever cut a winner short, only to watch it run 3x farther without you? Comment below. I want to know. Because today, I'm going to tell you Wall Street's #1 rule for holding winning trades, and it is not about indicators, patterns, or secret algorithms. It's about mastering something far more dangerous than the market. Your own mind. The truth nobody tells you. I want you to imagine yourself standing in early 1907, inside the chaos of the trading floor. The noise. The paper slips. The shouting. The sweat. And in the middle of that storm stood a man who understood this truth better than anyone. Jesse Livermore. Livermore didn't just trade markets. He traded human nature. He once said, "It never was my thinking that made the big money for me. It always was my sitting." Read that again. It wasn't analysis. It wasn't prediction. It wasn't timing the perfect entry. It was sitting. Holding. Staying with the winner. And here's what most modern traders don't realize. The market doesn't pay you for being right. It pays you for being right, and staying right long enough. And that is a psychological war. Why holding winners feels so unnatural. Let's break this down. When you're losing money, pain pushes you to act. It's uncomfortable. Your brain screams, "Fix it." But when you're winning, your brain whispers something far more subtle. Take it before it disappears. Because deep inside, your survival wiring believes gains are temporary and fragile. You start calculating what you could lose instead of what you could gain. You imagine the reversal. You picture the red candle. You see your unrealized profit shrinking. And suddenly, closing the trade feels like safety. But safety, in markets, is often the enemy of growth. Livermore understood something profound. The real money isn't in catching moves. It's in riding them. And riding them requires emotional endurance. Not intelligence. Not speed. Endurance. The modern trader's trap. Today, it's worse. You don't just battle your mind. You battle your screen. Every tick flashes at you. Every influencer posts gains. Every red candle feels like an attack. You're overstimulated. You're hyper-aware. And that constant stimulation makes patience feel impossible. Let me ask you something. If your platform removed your P&L display, would you trade differently? Would you hold longer? Would you panic less? Think about that. Because what you're really addicted to isn't profit. It's certainty. And certainty doesn't exist in trending markets, Wall Street's #1 rule. Here it is. Simple. Brutal. Uncomfortable. You must let winners prove you right over time, not over minutes. Time is the multiplier. Not entry precision. Not leverage. Time. When a trade aligns with the larger trend, when the market confirms your thesis, your job shifts. You're no longer a hunter. You become a guardian. Guarding your position from your own impatience. Livermore pyramid into strength. He added to winning positions, not losers. But he only did that after the market confirmed his idea. He trusted price action more than his emotions. And that trust was built on rules. Rules that prevented him from interfering with success. Because the biggest threat to your winning trade is you. Setting the stage. In this documentary, we're going to dissect why holding winners feels harder than cutting losses. We're going to explore the paradox that destroys accounts. We're going to break down the inner conflict that sabotages profitable traders. And by the end, you'll understand not just the rule, but the mindset required to execute it. Because the difference between a small account and a seven-figure one isn't prediction skill. It's psychological stamina. And in the next section, I'm going to show you the inner battle that begins the moment your trade turns green. The battle most traders don't even realize they're fighting. The moment your trade turns profitable, the real danger begins. Not from the market. From you. Because here's the paradox no one prepares you for. You can handle being wrong. But can you handle being right? Pause for a second. When a trade goes against you, there's clarity. Pain, yes. Frustration, absolutely. But clarity. You either cut it, manage it, or accept the mistake. But when a trade moves in your favor, now the battlefield becomes psychological. Now uncertainty wears a different mask. And I want you to think about this carefully. What makes you more uncomfortable, watching a loss grow, or watching profit fluctuate? Comment below. I'm genuinely curious which one hits you harder. Because the answer reveals everything. The profit paradox. Here's what most traders never articulate. Loss feels like danger. But profit feels like responsibility. When you're in drawdown, your job is simple: survive. But when you're up 5%, 10%, 20%, now you're managing opportunity. Now the mind starts whispering. What if this is the top? What if this is the last green candle? What if I give it all back? And suddenly, your focus shifts from following the trend to protecting the profit. Protection becomes obsession. Obsession becomes early exit. Early exit becomes regret. And regret becomes the silent tax you pay for emotional decision-making. This is where most traders sabotage themselves, not with bad entries, but with fragile conviction. Jesse Livermore understood this internal war better than anyone of his era. He didn't just study charts. He studied himself. He realized that the hardest part of trading wasn't identifying a trend, it was trusting it long enough to matter. He once said, "The stock market is never obvious. It is designed to fool most of the people, most of the time." But here's what most people miss. The market doesn't need to fool you. Your emotions will do that for it. Livermore noticed that the big money came when he aligned with a major trend and then did nothing. Nothing dramatic. Nothing heroic. Just disciplined inaction. And that's almost unbearable for modern traders. Because inaction feels lazy. But in markets, strategic inaction is strength. The dopamine problem. Let me tell you something uncomfortable. You might not be addicted to profit. You might be addicted to closing trades. Think about the rush when you lock in gains. The relief. The screenshot. The confirmation. Your brain gets a dopamine hit. Completion. Resolution. But holding a winning trade. That's unfinished business. That's open-ended. That's tension. Your brain hates tension. So it pushes you toward closure. You close the trade not because it's logical, but because your nervous system wants relief. And here's the dangerous part. The bigger the winner becomes, the more intense the urge to close it. Because now the stakes feel real. Now the number is significant. Now losing part of it feels painful, even though you haven't actually lost anything yet. You're reacting to hypothetical pain. Think about that. How many times have you exited because of something that might happen? The market's design. Markets trend far longer than feels comfortable. That's why trends are profitable. If trends were emotionally easy to hold, everyone would be rich. But trends test you. They pull back. They shake out weak hands. They create doubt. And during those pullbacks, your mind starts negotiating. Maybe I should secure half. Maybe I'll re-enter lower. Maybe this is enough. And sometimes scaling out makes sense, strategically. But most of the time, it's fear disguised as prudence. This is the market paradox. The very volatility that makes trends profitable is the same volatility that shakes you out of them. And unless you define your rules before emotion kicks in, you will default to comfort. Comfort kills compounding. Conviction versus ego. There's another layer here. Sometimes you exit early because you don't fully believe in your thesis. Maybe you entered on impulse. Maybe your position size was too large. Maybe you didn't plan the trade thoroughly. So when it works, you don't trust it. You feel lucky. And lucky profits are always closed early. Conviction profits are managed. Livermore only bet heavily when he felt alignment between market structure and his analysis. When he didn't feel that alignment, he stayed small or stayed out. Modern traders reverse this. They enter big. They hope. They fear. They close. Then they chase. And the cycle repeats. Let me ask you this. When your last big winner ran without you, was it because your plan told you to exit, or because your emotions did? Be honest with yourself. The silent enemy, time. Holding winners requires something traders underestimate. Time exposure. The longer you hold, the more headlines you'll see. The more tweets you'll read. The more opinions you'll encounter. And every external opinion competes with your internal conviction. You start second-guessing. You start imagining alternate outcomes. And slowly, doubt creeps in. This is why Livermore avoided noise. He focused on tape reading, price behavior, not gossip. Today, you're drowning in information. And information without discipline becomes sabotage.